Welcome to the Anti-Burnout Club, an exclusive club for those who are over the hustle culture BS, those who are tired of burning out and feeling stressed, and those who want to thrive while still becoming a success. I'm Beck Spiller, an accidental poet, an anxious entrepreneur, and your host. Welcome to the club. Hi, I'm Beck Spiller and welcome to the Anti-Burnout Club. I wanted to use this first episode to just introduce myself, explain a little bit about my background and my burnout story and what this podcast is all about. So I'm 30 years old, very nearly 31. I live in the southeast of England, in the posh bit, if you couldn't tell by my accent. I'm a business owner and have been for nearly a decade now. And I'm also studying to get my master's in business, my MBA, with the University of Warwick Business School. Before I set up my business, I worked in sales, recruitment, marketing, behind a bar. I was quite a sociable person, had lots of sociable jobs. But in my early 20s, I suddenly suffered from something called agoraphobia. And technically, it's a fear of open spaces. In my case, it was leaving the house. So I'd gone from this kind of like bright and bubbly person to someone who barely, left her bedroom for the most part. And it was during this time that I decided to set up my business, as I needed a way of bringing money in that didn't involve going outside, basically. So I started freelance writing for a whole host of lots of different clients, and it just kind of took off from there. Luckily, after a bit of a wait, I got something called cognitive behavioural therapy, better known as CBT. And that's where I found out that my agoraphobia was part of a greater diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder, which they figured was due to losing my mum quite suddenly just before I turned 18. So after quite a bit of therapy, I was able to leave the house again. And this is when I really started pushing with my business. I started working with a business partner, who is someone, sadly, I don't work with anymore, but we got an office, a member of staff, then a bigger office, then more staff, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew. After my business partner left, I decided to expand the business even more, meaning bigger office, more staff, and a lot more responsibility. At this point, I was working from around 7 in the morning, leaving the office at around 7 in the evening, and then working on my laptop when I got home. I was working weekends, through holidays, like the whole lot. I'd always been a bit of a hustle culture devotee, thinking like the more hours I work, the more successful I become. And I followed all those kinds of, like those hustle culture pushers like Gary Vee, telling me you have to put in all the hours or you'll never be a success. But things really started getting out of hand and I was burning out quite rapidly. I was constantly unwell. I was going to the doctors for things like high blood pressure, like in my 20s, high blood pressure, high cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. And my anxiety levels were going back through the roof even after my CBT. During this time, I also decided to apply for my MBA. I know, stupid. I didn't actually think I'd get accepted because I didn't have any previous qualifications. I left school when I was 16, so I didn't have an undergrad degree. But I was actually offered a scholarship thanks to my business acumen. So I was really, really happy, but I now needed to add the crazy hours that I was doing at work to trying to do more crazy hours, completing a master's degree, and I was just a complete mess. Basically like a complete and utter mess. It was around my 30th birthday that I realized if I didn't take one massive step back and evaluate my life and what I actually wanted, I was probably going to end up working myself to an early grave. My dad, who was someone who was constantly on it, like he would have loved the whole hustle culture thing. He was so motivated. He was an entrepreneur. He'd passed away when I was 24 due to a heart attack. And he was 60 and his dad also passed away at 60 from the same thing. So I kind of looked at it like, well, I might make a ton of money at this rate, but I'll be dead before I get to enjoy it. I started to realize that all of the hustle culture BS that I'd been buying into was very slowly killing me. And I wanted to measure my success on something other than how many hours I could work in a week. Another big moment was when I started studying the economics of well-being at Warwick, and I realised that actually, like, even the experts were saying that happiness is something we should strive for more than anything, more than money, more than, you know, big houses and fancy cars. On top of this, politicians have also started talking about measuring and improving well-being. There's something called the Behavioural Insights team in the UK government, which I'm fascinated by and I properly nerd out over. And they've been trying to measure well-being and just try and shift people to think more about our well-being than anything else. So there has been a big shift in the way we measure our goals and successes over the last few years, but I feel like we've still got quite a long way to go. There's still people promoting hustle culture and burning out, and stress is such a massive thing. There are so many people who are feeling stressed and burnt out. And so the Anti-Burnout Club was born. I like the name because it's ABC. So that was my very simple thinking. My aim is to kind of use everything I've learned to help people thrive and become successes in their own right without feeling stressed or, becoming unwell and getting high blood pressure or high cortisol levels. I've already got a few exciting guests lined up where we'll be talking about things like psychology, mindfulness, imposter syndrome, grief, stress, self-care, success, mental health, and also just like individual burnout stories as well and how people got over their own burnout. Hopefully we'll all learn a lot along the way and improve our well-being and the well-being of others around us as well, because I feel like when you concentrate on looking after yourself, everything else kind of falls into place. So hopefully what you learn, you can either teach to others or just, a better way of living can help improve the others around you as well. So that's it from me today. It's a very, very quick one, but please do get involved and subscribe if you'd like to come along on the journey. You can also find articles related to all these topics on my site, beckspiller.com, and go to the Anti-Burnout Club. And over on my Instagram, Anti-Burnout Club, without the. And yeah, until next time, take care. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, The Anti-Burnout Club. Please don't forget to subscribe and we'll talk again very soon.